Let other people judge you. I mean, what would be the worst case scenario? Today we're going to go down that road, and I know that may sound activating, triggering in some way for you, but bear with me. I have good intentions, obviously, with this video, so let's go down the road. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Vanessa. If you're new here, welcome. So, in my meditation this morning, or let's say I did a walking meditation because I was walking the doggy and I was walking home from the park, and just, being really aware of the green and the trees and everything. And that's usually when I talk to spirit, talk to God, whatever you want to call it, the universe. And I just open my mind and listen. And usually a lot of interesting messages drop in when I do that. And I had no expectations whatsoever because the last few days have felt like a bit cut off from spirit, which is good sometimes, right? Like some people come to me and they are like, oh my God, I cannot connect to something greater right now. Is my connection broken? And I'm just like, no. Then it's a time for you to be with yourself, reflect, listen to your own advice. Yeah, but this is just a side note. So what happens when people judge us? And the message, I didn't ask that question, but the message that dropped in was really interesting. And there was the message, you know what? Just let people judge you. Let them all judge you. I dare you. And then I had to literally laugh out loud. I dare you to let people judge you. And I was like, all right, I love that. Because to be honest, I don't worry too much anymore about people like judging what I do, who I am, whatever. But obviously sometimes it comes up, especially when you're going through transformative moments. And sometimes you may know this from your own life. You're going through the thick of it, and then you can almost taste a new chapter arising. And just before this new chapter arises, it's getting extra hard. Like your mind is extra strong, trying to pull you back into old patterns, bringing on old narratives where you're like, really? You're still talking about this? And so it's just really interesting because I'm going through quite an interesting phase in my life. And I thought I'd share this with you because, I think it's very useful to ask yourself the question, what is the worst case scenario of people judging you? Like literally, tell me, say something right now. I cannot hear you, but put it in the comments. What is the worst thing that could happen if people judge you? And I know we all have some degree of fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not being seen or being seen. But all of this comes from inner wounds that we accumulated somewhere along our lifetime, often in childhood, not always, but often in childhood. So often, not always, those wounds are being created when we're very young. That means then that if that wound has been created, let's say as a 5-year-old, as a 7-year-old, as a 14-year-old, as a 3-year-old, whatever it is, we often are not even aware of those wounds because the behavior that we create in order to soothe those wounds or protect ourselves has become so ingrained in who we are that we think this is belonging to who we are. And I'm not saying that your wounds don't belong to you. They do, right? It's like war scars, or it's like, yeah, they belong to us for sure. But also we can heal them. Yeah, we can look at them, we can feel through them, and we can, like a real physical wound. You can open it up, clear it out, put something that soothes and heals, maybe put a plaster or let it heal on the air. And then over time it will close. Maybe there will still be like a visible scar, Yeah, maybe, but you can heal a wound. Yeah, and you may remember it, absolutely. And maybe you're supposed to remember it, but you don't need to keep on suffering from it all the time. And when we fear judgment of others, we often act from that wound in order to protect ourselves, obviously. And sometimes the mindset that we have behind the way how we protect ourselves, like the fear of being seen, then we may get anxious, social anxiety, yeah, trying not to be seen by the neighbors even, or staying at home, or, all these things, worrying what to wear too much, worrying if your weight fluctuates, if you're still going to be loved, worrying if you start a new career or hobby, how it will be perceived by others, all these kind of things. And I'm sure you have your own examples as well. So the part of ourselves that fears to be judged is often very young. And I'm referring again here to partswork or internal family systems, because I use this a lot in my work, but also for my own journey. And then ask yourself, all right, the part of me that fears being judged, how old is it? And don't think about it with your mind. Allow yourself to get an intuitive message. For example, 3 years comes up, or 7 years, or 14 years comes up, whatever comes up. It may come up 23 or whatever, and then ask yourself, is this the youngest age? And then you listen. No. Okay, what's the youngest age? 14. Okay, then you ask the same question again, It's a little practice you could do. Where does the judgment come from, And then maybe you will have a memory pop up. And like I said, that part of us that is afraid of judgment is often, if it comes from childhood, that the wound was created, then you can imagine that part being like frozen in time. Then the way that we react or respond to that fear of being judged, to that judgment maybe itself, may be quite an insecure or an immature, a young, a childish way. And please don't take that personally, but it's often like that. Then we hide, like a mature adult. Why would they hide? Yeah, why would they hide? They could take the judgment and be like, all right, so, you know what I mean? So sometimes and you can include me into that. Sometimes we respond in a way where we feel like, I'm going to take myself as an example, just so you understand better. Would adult Vanessa really hide from her neighbors? It's not what I'm doing, but just as an example. If you hear them walk down the stairs, would she really hide because she doesn't want to get, have a conversation? You don't need, adult Vanessa would know, I don't need to have a conversation. I can say hi and then I can walk out the door or whatever, I'm not afraid that they think I'm rude or whatever. If I'm not in the mood to talk, I don't need to talk. But, Vanessa with the wound, and that's just a random example, yeah? But it's, I think, yeah, it's just an example. But Vanessa with the wound, who had a childhood wound from, let's say 4 years old, and again, it's not a personal example, from 4 years old of fearing to be seen because being seen means being critiqued, then I would hide. I would listen on the door. Are they going? Are they gone? Or I would, fear to be seen in public, maybe wear sunglasses all the time so that I don't need to look people in the eyes. It's a very random example, but I'm sure you have your own examples. There could be a million examples I give you. I just picked one random one. And so we act sometimes from a place that is immature. And often that's why at all we feel fear of judgment. It comes from a younger version of us, from a version of us that is not so secure in themselves, from a version of us that doesn't know themselves so well. from a version of us that doesn't believe in themselves, that doesn't trust themselves, their intuition, their gifts, their qualities. Maybe it's a version of yourself that hasn't been reassured growing up. Reassured that you're allowed to make mistakes, that it's okay, that we're all human and we all make mistakes. No freaking person is perfect. Maybe that's been portrayed to you, but it's never the truth. There is no perfect human being in the world. I promise you. But sometimes in society, it may seem like that, especially in the times of social media, where you can, filter everything. Then it may seem like, oh my God, but these people are so perfect. And then you accidentally meet them in person and you're like, oh, they're just humans. Or maybe, they also have insecurities or whatever. So don't believe everything you see. Yeah, because many of those things are not true. And what I recommend you is getting to know yourself on the inside, because self-acceptance is the only thing that will help you release fear of judgment. External validation won't do that. It can help. It can help you reassure, but it's never gonna fill the void inside of you that craves to be whole, that craves to be accepted, because it's your job to accept yourself. Sorry to plate that to you, but it's really true. And, I made a few little notes today just because there were a few words that I didn't want to forget to tell you. So self-acceptance is crucial in order to let go of this fear of judgment of other people, yeah? Fear of judgment of other people. Because if we start accepting who we are with all our quirks and with all our weirdness and maybe even, craziness. A friend said to me a few years ago when I was a little bit afraid of fully stepping into the work that I do, she was like, I said to her, oh my God, but what if people think I'm crazy? And she's like, love, you are crazy. So allow yourself to just be a little bit crazy, because the best people allow themselves to be a little bit crazy, Otherwise, you couldn't do innovative things. You couldn't do things that have, that go so deep, because you would judge yourself all the time for doing things that are not socially normalized, the norm, or accepted. And then we wouldn't make progress, right? Think of all the inventors in the world. Get yourself inspired by what you see in terms of, inventors in the world, for example. Somebody who created, like a lamp, electricity, cars, all these kind of things. People thought before of them that they are crazy. But if they had given up, we would still sit in a shed, which honestly, I wouldn't mind. I love wood fire. But just to give you an example, yeah. Another thing is, look at all the celebrities out there. And they're so judged. There's often scandals coming up or whatever. But, those people who know themselves, they just let the tabloids and whatever talk shit about them, because they're like, all right, whatever, that's not me. I know myself. Yeah, my people know me. This is not who I am. And even if those people do all those kind of things, they still have careers. They still live their lives. They don't let themselves destabilize. Or if you destabilize, you get a therapist, you get a coach, you get somebody to help you to create inner stability within you. Yeah, so just look at people who are out there that are constantly judged as an example of, whoa, but they're still doing what they're doing. Back in history and all these kind of things. So let's go into this question of what actually is the worst thing that can happen when people judge you. What is the worst thing? That you doubt yourself and you feel probably like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have said that, or, I'm not good enough, or I'm too much, all these kind of things. But that just reflects back to you from the outside your inner narrative that has already existed before. Because if we believe in ourselves, then people outside can tell us whatever. We're going to be steadfast in who we are. We're going to recenter. Sometimes it can take you out of your center and make you feel like this is a lot. This, like, it can bring up emotions, and then feel through your emotions and ask yourself, but is that the truth, what they are saying? And if you decide it is the truth, you can make adjustments, not for them, but to be more in alignment with who you are. And if you decide this is not the truth, or I don't care about their opinion, you can say, okay, I know myself. Let's recenter. Let's get back in alignment. Let's feel through our feelings that are coming up. We don't want to push them aside. We don't want to bypass them. We want to sit with the fear of judgment and breathe. Sit with the fear of judgment and breathe. And then open your eyes again and feel, whoa, okay, I felt through this. What now? And a realization will be there on the other side. But it really starts all with you learning to accept who you are. Yeah, because when we don't accept who we are, we will start taking every little judgment that we may receive from the outside personally. But people, often don't even have empathy to be kind in reflecting back to you something. Or they just, see the world through their own filters and judge you based on their own narrative. That doesn't necessarily need to relate to you. So whatever somebody says to you, you can take objectively. And it says more about them than it says about you. Yeah, because if somebody gives you kind feedback, even if it is critical, it will be it will help you. It will be constructive. That's the word I was looking for. And you then still can decide to take it on or not, right? Like there's a very tiny shift between being like a victim of feedback or judgment and being the observer of it. Yeah, because when we feel disempowered, that comes from missing trust in ourselves. So your job is really to get to know yourself and learn to trust yourself. Learn that the quirks and the qualities and who you are is good and valid and sufficient. And the things that you still want to learn, you can learn. And the things that you don't want to do anymore, you can let go of. Obviously, it's a process and it may take time, but you're absolutely deserving of accepting yourself and living a life that you enjoy and expressing yourself authentically. And so this message from me today is really about, self-acceptance. And write down, journal out, what is the worst case scenario of people judging you? Because at the end of the day, you could say, people gonna cancel me on social media, people gonna not talk to me, I'm not gonna have friends, I'm not gonna have family, I'm not gonna have a partner, I'm gonna be all alone, and I'm not gonna earn money or whatever. This may be your fear, or there may be another fear. But think about it. Now use your logical mind. Is this really gonna happen? And if it would, then you can question your values and your morals, because maybe you're not acting in a very kind and aligned, way for yourself. But I doubt that this is you. I really doubt that this is you, because if you clicked on this video, you want to learn more about yourself, right? You want to grow. And so I rather believe that all those worst case scenarios, when we allow ourselves to write them down, to feel into them, we actually often realize, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, this could happen, but then we will always find a friend. We will always find somebody to meet with. And sometimes we also need a phase where we are alone and do some soul searching and realize, okay, yes, maybe I let go of some friends and relationships by me stepping into who I really am and accept that there is judgment. Because this is another point. Start accepting that there's judgment. There will always be judgment. There will always be people that don't like you. There will always be people that, have an opinion about you that you don't want to hear. So if we accept that this is the truth and this exists, we can let go of a lot of pressure. Just speaking this out feels like, because I think internally we try so hard to not ever be judged, to not ever be wronged, to not ever be disliked. But this is an illusion. And when we start accepting that there will always be those things, those people that don't like us, judgment, whatever, and deciding, okay, I don't need to any longer try to not, be not judged, or not have anybody, not have, or try to have everybody like me. When we can let go of that, that alone is an act of self-acceptance. Yeah, so it's powerful. Let me look on my paper here. Yeah, and we all have the need to feel safe. And the action that is, often we may feel at the mercy of other people that we surround ourselves and the environment at large to feel safe. But you can take your power back and you can decide, I'm going to create a safe life for myself by starting to accept who I am. And also accepting that people may let go of me, or I will have to let go of people, jobs, relationships, whatever, when I decide to accept myself. Yeah. And when you do that, there may be a time, like I just said, there may be a time where your life feels a bit empty, or where you feel like, oh my God, I don't have friends anymore. And you may feel worried or anxious or panicky about that. But just remember, you will never always be alone. Yeah, if you put yourself out there. And sometimes we need the phase of not having so many people in our life so that we can, and it's an invitation to focus on yourself, getting to know yourself more, doing some activities by yourself, understanding, what do I like? What feels joyful for me? What feels alive inside of me? And then going to do those activities and taking those actions. And as you're doing that, to the places that you're going to go, you're going to find like-minded people that may become your new colleagues, friends, lovers, whatever. But that, again, has to do with trusting yourself. Because maybe you're going to write a comment now and you're like, yeah, but that doesn't guarantee. Yeah, there's never a guarantee. That's why you need to learn to trust yourself and to learn that you're worth it. You're worth finding your love, finding new career, finding new people around you. You're worth it. And if you don't believe that you're worth it, that's what you got to work on. That's what you got to work on. Okay? Whew. Let's take a deep breath together. Whew, whew, whew. All right, last point. Coming back to the inner narrative, because if you don't feel like you're worth it, and if you are so at the mercy of judgment of others, that judgment and you internalizing it and taking it so personally is just a reflection of your inner narrative. Because once you improve the relationship with yourself, you start accepting yourself more, you won't take other people's judgments so personally anymore, and you will, take it lighter and see it more objectively. And you will realize, okay, that person said to me this morning, oh, you look really tired. So maybe in the past, you would have been like, oh my God, I look tired. Do I get enough sleep? Oh my God, are my eyes terrible? Do I need to buy a new cream? And, the machine starts going on and on and on and on. Maybe that's something you would have done in the past. But now that you accept yourself more and you know yourself more and you don't take everything so personally, you may respond differently and be like, all right, that's just an objective thing they said. Fine. Yeah, I didn't sleep well last night, so normal that I'm looking a bit tired today. Again, random example. Yeah. Or if you are an artist or somebody who wants to start their own business in whatever way. Yeah. Maybe you're afraid what your family, your friends, whatever people in your surrounding may think of it. And it's okay. But then sit with yourself, feel that fear, and just ask yourself in 20 years from now, or when I'm 85, 90, what would be worse? Letting people have judgment towards me, or sitting there in a wheelchair, or not necessarily a wheelchair. What is this chair called? Like that you can go back and forth with? Like the rocking chair? That's what I mean. You're sitting in your rocking chair on your porch and you're like, oh my God, I never followed my passion. I never even tried to see how good life could go, how good life could get. That would suck, no? Yeah. So that's my message for today. I think it was a lot. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to let you take a deep breath. Share with me below what you're afraid of in terms of judgment, how you deal with judgment, how you feel about yourself, and can you accept yourself, what parts of you can accept, you can't accept yet. If you have any questions, post them below. And I just want to let you know you deserve to accept yourself. So work on that. Yeah? You really deserve it. And I've been through that journey. And sometimes these things pop up again and again. But once you learn the tools that can help you, and you learn that you're not just caught in that forever, that's really empowering. And I wish that for you. Okay, I have this meditation you can try out. It's called anger release meditation, but it works for any emotion. So you can also take fear through it, or fear of judgment through it, and see what happens. See what realization comes out, what core wound you discover in the meditation, because that's really what we want to find, the core wounds of why we feel and fear certain things, okay? And if you don't know what you should, comment below, just say, I accept myself, okay? I love you. Thank you for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you like this video, share it with a friend who could need it. Leave a subscription. I would really love that so I can make more videos like that for you. And I see you in the next one. Bye.